familiar foreign city.
Yeah, totally disorienting.
Right. The signs are in an alphabet you don't even read. The traffic is just completely chaotic, and you really need to get to your hotel. So, what do? You pull out your phone, you pull up your map app, and you look for that like reassuring little blue dot.
Lifeline.
Exactly. But the dot insists you are 3 miles away, currently treading water in the middle of a river. What do you do? I mean, for an amateur, the trip is just ruined. Panic sets in and they're completely paralyzed. But for a professional operator, the trip hasn't even started.
Right. It completely flips the script on how we view a successful journey.
Uh huh.
We're so conditioned to think of travel in terms of, luxury or aesthetics.
Like the perfectly timed sunset photo?
Exactly. The
Exactly.
sunset, the effortless train connection, the pristine espresso.
Yeah,
But true, seamless mobility isn't born from luck. And it's definitely not born from a platinum credit card either.
no,
Right.
definitely not.
It's the result of this rigorous, almost invisible architecture of preparation. I mean, is the fundamental difference between being this passive passenger who's completely at the mercy of their environment and an active operator who actually navigates the globe with intention.
And that mindset shift is exactly what we're unpacking today. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. Our mission for you, the listener, is to treat travel not just as a casual vacation, but as a discipline.
Yeah, a real skill set.
We're breaking down professional grade preparation strategies from our source notes today to equip you with what's known in the field as the triple crown of travel mastery. That's redundancy, risk management, and adaptability.
It's all about building a system so resilient that you can operate safely and effectively anywhere on Earth.
Right. But the guiding philosophy here really requires letting go of our modern crutches, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There are two specific mantras that frame this entire approach. The first one is lightweight packing equals freedom, which we are definitely going to dissect
Yes,
later.
we will.
And the second, and arguably the most urgent in our hyper connected world right now, is navigation is a tool, not reality.
Okay, let's unpack that second mantra right now because it dives straight into the first pillar of the Triple Crown redundancy, or, navigating the real world.
Right.
Going back to that scenario I mentioned with the blue dot in the river, most of us just assume our GPS is the ultimate infallible truth. We take it completely for granted.
We do.
But the reality of modern global movement is that GPS spoofing is a very real, very common phenomenon.
Yeah, spoofing is it's a critical vulnerability. What's fascinating here is that we tend to think of losing GPS as just losing a cell signal, right?
Yeah.
Where the map just goes blank.
Yeah, or the pin gets kind of wide and gray.
Exactly. But spoofing is far more dangerous. It isn't just jamming a signal, it's this scenario where a stronger counterfeit radio signal intentionally overpowers the legitimate satellite data.
Wow.
So your phone's receiver is actually tricked into plotting a completely fabricated location.
That's terrifying.
It is. Whether you're near a zone with, say, heavy military operations, or you're traversing high security infrastructure, or even just dealing with localized signal manipulation, the blue dot will literally lie to you.
And when travelers lose that digital tether, when the screen stops matching the actual street, they just lose their bearings entirely.
Completely.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the professional solution, right?
Yeah.
The multi map system.
Right. And the baseline directive here from the notes is downloading completely offline open source city maps before your plane even takes off.
Before you even leave home. Yes.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate here. If a perfectly downloaded offline map sitting on my phone, one that doesn't rely on cell service or, vulnerable Wi-Fi, why am I wasting brain power memorizing physical landmarks? If my screen shows the street layout accurately offline, I can just look at my screen, right?
The problem with staring at a screen, even a perfectly accurate offline one, is that it instantly creates severe tunnel vision. You're looking down, you're severing your situational awareness from the actual environment. Because a map cannot tell you if a street has suddenly been blockaded for construction, or if a crowd is gathering, or if a specific alleyway just intuitively feels unsafe.
Makes sense.
This is why professional protocols mandate a manual navigation reflex.
Right. It's essentially the same protocol used in aviation. Like, you can technically fly a modern jet entirely on digital instruments, but pilots are still rigorously trained in visual flight rules, or VFR.
Right, they have to look outside.
Exactly. They literally have to look out the window to fly a plane. They have to cross reference the instrument panel with the actual physical horizon.
And that visual cross reference is what keeps you alive on the ground, too. If GPS deviates, look at the environment, not the map. The moment you step out of your hotel, the manual navigation reflex dictates that you actively pick 2 or 3 physical landmarks.
Right away.
Away. You consciously note the massive bank on your right or the distinct shape of the park on your left. You're building a mental anchor.
And beyond those immediate visual anchors, the multi-map system requires you to pre-mark 4 critical points on your offline map. Not the best coffee shop, not the art museum.
No, not the tourist spots.
You have to pin your hotel, your home country's consulate, a major hospital, and the nearest metro station.
Yeah, those 4 points represent the absolute baseline for survival and extraction. If civil unrest breaks out or the cellular network goes completely dark, knowing exactly where the consulate or the hospital is relative to your current position is non-negotiable.
It transforms a crisis from a panic into just a purely logistical problem.
Exactly. It's physical redundancy.
There's also the digital redundancy side of this pillar, right? Because knowing where the consulate is won't do much good if you manage to get inside but have zero proof of who you are. Because, say, your bag was stolen.
Right, yeah.
The standard protocol is maintaining PDF copies of all critical documents, passports, visas, insurance, backed up on a secure cloud service and emailed to yourself.
It creates an unbreakable chain of identity. If your physical bag is gone, well, have your phone. If your phone is compromised, you can walk into literally any internet cafe, borrow a laptop, log into a secure email server, and instantly pull down your life.
You're never fully erased from the system.
Right. You ensure you exist on paper, digitally.
But, protecting your location and your identity is really only half the battle. Because if your physical body breaks down, knowing the fastest route to the hospital is just a terrible way to spend a trip.
Oh, absolutely the worst.
Which naturally leads us to the second pillar of the Triple Crown, risk management, or protecting the machine.
Yeah, keeping the biological machine running smoothly. The statistics on biological failures during travel are honestly staggering.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
A massive 70% of travel-related illnesses are completely preventable. 70%. And they stem almost entirely from a combination of poor nutrition and poor temperature management. We aren't talking about contracting some exotic, highly localized virus. We're talking about the basic mismanagement of the human engine.
Okay, I have to push back on the nutrition protocol, though.
Okay, lay it on me.
The recommendation in the source material is to eat incredibly quote unquote light and familiar on the first few days of a trip. But wait, isn't the whole point of traveling to immerse yourself? I mean, I want to eat the crazy street food. I want the dangerously spicy noodles from the guy in the alleyway. If I'm eating plain chicken and rice on day 1, aren't I killing the fun?
I get it. I really do. But the fundamental distinction we have to make here, and this is a huge takeaway from the notes, is that adventure does not equal risk.
Okay, fair.
We have to look at the biology of what transit actually does to the human body. When you cross multiple time zones, your circadian rhythm shatters.
Just breaks completely.
Right. And to compensate, your body pumps out cortisol just to keep you awake and functioning. High cortisol heavily suppresses your immune system and entirely alters your stomach acid production.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it altered stomach acid.
Yeah, so your gut biome is already in this state of high alert. If you take that compromised, stressed system and immediately shock it with, unpasteurized sauces, heavy oils, or highly spiced, unfamiliar meats on day 1, you are virtually guaranteeing a biological system failure.
You have to ease the engine into gear.
Exactly.
So the strict rules for those first few days actually make perfect biological sense. Avoid raw or undercooked foods completely. Avoid unknown sauces sitting out in the heat. And the big one, absolutely no street water or ice.
Oh, the ice is a killer.
Because ice is quite literally just street water wearing a disguise. I actually learned that one the hard way in Southeast Asia.
Oh, no.
Yeah, a single iced coffee took me out of commission for 3 full days.
It is a ubiquitous trap.
Yeah,
But, mitigating risk doesn't mean eating at sterile international fast food chains for 2 weeks either.
right.
The golden rule of local eating is brilliant. Eat where the locals eat, but explicitly avoid tourist-dense areas.
Right.
The logic is purely economic and biological. Local residents do not return to a vendor that makes them violently ill.
Right. Makes sense.
So a high turnover of local customers is the absolute best indicator of food safety. Tourist traps, conversely, rely entirely on a constant stream of one-time customers. They don't need repeat business, so their safety and hygiene standards can dangerously slip without any financial consequence.
It's such a simple, actionable filter. Look for the locals. Now, beyond just preventing illness, risk management escalates to what is considered the professional tier, emergency intelligence.
Right.
This is preparing for the specific moment the statistics finally catch up with you and things actually go wrong. And it heavily centers around carrying a physical emergency card.
The emergency card is non-negotiable. We're talking about a physical laminated card carried on your actual person, like in a pocket, not buried in a backpack, and certainly not just stored on your phone.
Because phones die.
Phone stack. And it explicitly lists your blood type, any severe medical conditions or allergies, and immediate next of kin contact info.
Right, because if you're incapacitated, a paramedic doesn't have the time, or frankly, the legal right, to try and bypass your phone's biometric facial recognition.
No, they don't.
They need that data in 3 seconds.
Precisely. If you are unconscious, your phone is essentially a brick. And alongside that physical data card, professional operators also carry a micro survival kit.
Okay, wait, a survival kit?
Yeah, but we're not talking about a massive tactical pouch with a machete and a flare gun.
Oh, good.
It is microscopic risk management, a mini hand sanitizer, a compact foil thermal blanket, and heavy duty wet wipes. Items that literally fit in a single jacket pocket.
But those 3 tiny items drastically alter your baseline safety if you get, say, stranded at a freezing border crossing for 8 hours, or if your train breaks down in the middle of nowhere overnight. You're controlling the controllables.
That's the perfect way to phrase it.
You can't fix the train engine. You can control your core body heat and your hygiene while you wait for extraction.
Just exactly. Managing your physical state against the elements transitions us perfectly into the third pillar of the Triple Crown. We've secured your location with redundancy. We've protected your biological baseline with risk management. But true travel mastery requires actively engaging with the environment. It requires adaptability.
Mastering both the physical environment and the people, the social landscape.
Let's start with the physical environment, specifically body management and the science of layering. Amateurs look at a weather app, see it's going to be 50 degrees, and pack a heavy coat. Professionals don't dress for average temperatures. They dress for microclimates.
Because it comes down to thermodynamics. The human body regulating heat in a fluctuating environment is incredibly complex. I always compare it to a high performance car engine.
Right.
If you run an engine at redline, let it get super hot, and then suddenly hit the engine block with a freezing blast of Arctic air, the metal can literally crack from the thermal shock.
It shatters.
The human body experiences a similar, albeit biological, shock. If you overheat while lugging your heavy bags around and then walk into an intensely air-conditioned terminal or catch a cold draft, your immune system crashes almost instantly.
And the physiological mechanism behind that crash is evaporative cooling. To prevent that thermal shock, you utilize a highly specific 4-layer system.
Okay, break that down for us.
Layer 1 is your base layer, designed to sit tight against the skin and trap a pocket of dead airspace to retain core heat. Layer 2 is a standard breathable t-shirt. Layer 3 is an insulative layer, like a fleece or cardigan, which traps larger amounts of warm air.
Right.
And layer 4 is a thin, unlined raincoat or shell, strictly to act as a windbreak.
And the absolute cardinal rule of this system, which I love from the notes, is sweating equals risk.
Yes, because sweating introduces moisture into those insulative layers.
Yeah.
The moment that damp clothing is exposed to moving air, evaporative cooling violently strips the heat from your core.
Your temperature just plummets.
It plummets. And that rapid cooling opens the door for opportunistic infections. That is why the thin outer shell, the windbreaker, is actually the most vital piece of the entire system. It completely halts the evaporative cooling process.
So you shed the fleece when you're moving to avoid the sweat, and you put the windbreaker on to block the chill.
Exactly.
You know, there's a fascinating physiological hack in this adaptability section regarding temperature regulation, particularly when you're trying to sleep in an unpredictable, drafty hotel room.
Oh, the sock trick.
Sock trick. The feet basically act as the body's thermostat. If you're struggling with fluctuating temperatures, putting on a pair of thick wool socks at night makes a massive difference in regulating your entire core.
It's amazing how well it works. Warm feet physically dilate the blood vessels in your lower extremities. This acts as a signal to your central nervous system that the environment is secure, allowing your brain to safely lower your core body temperature slightly.
And that slight drop is what actually induces deep restorative sleep.
Right. And deep sleep is the only time your immune system fully repairs the cellular damage caused by the stress of transit in the first place.
So that handles adapting to the physical climate. But adaptability also means navigating the human climate. Social intelligence.
Crucial.
The sources list a strict cultural baseline of 5 minimum phrases you absolutely must learn in the local language before your boots hit the ground. Greetings, thank you, where's the toilet? can you help me? And I'm sick or I need medicine.
The essentials.
But again, let me challenge this for a second. We carry supercomputers in our pockets. We have translation apps that work completely offline. They speak with perfect native accents and they process audio in real time. Why should I spend 3 hours before a trip butchering the pronunciation of a language I'll literally never use again?
It's a fair question, but it's because language, in the context of professional travel, has almost nothing to do with grammar or perfect translation. It is an exercise in applied psychology.
Oh, interesting.
Think about it. Pulling out a phone, speaking into it, and shoving a glowing screen into a local vendor's face. It's a highly sterile, purely transactional interaction. It creates a physical and technological barrier between you and them.
But when you put the phone away, look someone in the eye, and audibly stumble through a greeting in their native tongue, you're intentionally showing vulnerability. You're showing effort.
You're signaling respect.
Mm,
You're demonstrating that you value their cultural baseline enough to participate in it, however poorly you might pronounce it.
right.
That psychological shift instantly breaks down social barriers.
Mm.
The local population is exponentially more likely to actually assist you. Your likelihood of being targeted for scams plummets because you have stopped behaving like an entitled, insulated outsider and started behaving like a guest.
Human connection isn't built on the efficiency of an app. It's built on mutual respect.
Beautifully said.
So we have the theory down. We have redundancy, risk management, and adaptability. But how does this mental framework dictate the physical objects you actually carry on your back? Here's where it gets really interesting. This brings us to our final theme, the philosophy of freedom.
Luggage strategy.
Yes, which is entirely about luggage strategy. The core philosophy here is that lightweight packing equals freedom. When an amateur packs, they essentially pack their anxieties.
All the what ifs.
Right. They pack for every conceivable, highly improbable scenario, resulting in 50 pounds of luggage that physically anchors them. It restricts their movement, forces them into taking expensive taxis instead of just navigating the metro, and makes them a highly visible, slow moving target.
Professionals, on the other hand, pack the absolute minimum weight required to successfully execute the Triple Crown.
It requires rigorous discipline, having everything you need to survive, but at an absolute minimum weight penalty. The must haves for hardware are remarkably sparse. Exactly 2 pairs of shoes, one of which must be completely waterproof, a high capacity power bank, a universal adapter, and a multi tool.
Okay, I must interject here with a severe legal and tactical warning regarding that hardware.
Oh, please do.
Under no circumstances does a multi-tool go into your cabin bag.
Right.
Airport security will confiscate it, and you will lose a vital piece of equipment before you even start. Furthermore, professional preparation requires heavily researching the specific legal codes of your destination. For instance, many travelers pack pepper spray as a standard, comforting self-defense item.
Sure, very common in the US.
Exactly. But in numerous European and Asian jurisdictions, crossing a border with pepper spray is a strict liability criminal offense.
Wait, really?
Yes, you will face immediate detention. Ignorance of local law is never a valid excuse when you're operating as a professional. The gear that keeps you safe in your hometown might make you a felon abroad.
You have to adapt your packing list to the legal reality of the ground you're walking on. But there is one final category of packing from the notes that is almost entirely overlooked by the general public, and it honestly might be the most important for maintaining your sanity: the offline life kit.
Oh, this is such a game changer. We meticulously prepare our physical bodies, our offline maps, our emergency medical data. But we rarely prepare our minds for the inevitable grinding friction of global travel.
Because delays are not a possibility, right? They are a mathematical certainty.
They're going to happen. And when you are stuck on a sweltering tarmac for 4 hours, or your bus breaks an axle in the middle of a rural highway, your brain reacts poorly. Your cortisol spikes, your amygdala takes over, and you feel utterly trapped.
So, building an offline life kit means intentionally stocking your devices with completely downloaded music, heavy reading material, movies, and offline games. And it isn't just about staving off boredom, is it?
No, it is tactical emotional risk management. When panic or deep frustration sets in, a traveler makes rash, dangerous decisions.
They leave the secure terminal.
They trust the wrong cab driver. They lose their temper with an official who literally holds their passport. Cognitive distraction, like diving into a complex offline game or an engrossing book, chemically calms the brain down.
A calm traveler retains their situational awareness, preserves their patience, and evaluates the delay as just a mere logistical pause rather than a catastrophic failure.
It keeps you in the operator mindset.
It is a complete holistic system. So, what does this all mean for you, the listener? When we step back and look at the architecture of professional travel, it changes how you interact with the globe. It all hinges on that triple crown: redundancy, securing your location with offline multi maps, and building an unbreakable digital chain for your identity; risk management, protecting your biological engine by managing your gut biome and carrying the physical data first responders actually need; and adaptability, mastering thermodynamics through layered clothing and unlocking human connection by offering the vulnerability of a local greeting.
The overarching truth is that rigorous preparation up front is the only thing that buys you total freedom on the ground. When your systems are resilient and your contingencies are built, you aren't crippled by anxiety over where the hospital is or what happens if the cell towers go down. You are finally free to immerse yourself completely in the environment you traveled so far to experience.
It elevates the entire concept of a journey. But we want to leave you with a final, lingering thought to ponder based on everything we've explored today. We spend so much of our lives relying on algorithms and satellites to curate our experiences, to tell us exactly where to turn, what to eat, and how to speak.
We do.
But consider this: if tomorrow the sky went dark, the satellites dropped out, your phone battery died, and your luggage vanished. Based on the systems and knowledge you hold in your mind right now, would you still be a traveler? Or would you instantly become a helpless tourist? The true journey, it seems, only really begins the moment the technology fails.